Everyone, welcome to this webinar sharing featuring the various NUS financial aid and scholarship schemes available to support your education here at the university. I'm Eunice and I'll be your MC for today. Thank you for taking time to join us. The sharing you will hear this afternoon will be presented by the Dean of Admissions, Professor Goh Tse Song. After the presentation, there will be a Q&A segment with Prof. Goh, Associate Directors of the Office of Admissions, Ms. Autumn Ong and Ms. Tan Pek Lien, as well as two NUS students. If you have any questions, we greatly appreciate if you could please write them down in the Q&A tab below, and we will answer them towards the end of this webinar. Thank you for your patience. Professor Goh Tse Song is the Dean of Admissions at the National University of Singapore. A mathematician by training, he received his Honours Bachelor's degree from the University of Oxford in 1988 and his Masters of Science and PhD degrees from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor in 1990 and 1992 respectively. He joined NUS Department of Mathematics in 1994, and he is highly passionate about education and has received numerous teaching awards, including the University Outstanding Educator Award in 2009. His research interests focus on the theory and applications of wavelets, approximation theory, and harmonic analysis. He also participates in interdisciplinary research involving the practical use of mathematics. Without further ado, let us begin the session. Prof. Goh, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Eunice, and welcome everybody for these sessions on financial aid and scholarship offered by NUS. Let me first share screen and then we'll get started. Okay, so these particular sessions, I'm going to focus on the scholarship and financial aid that NUS offers. But before I begin with that, let me first by giving a context about how we are going to provide you with needy students with financial aid and how scholarships can be provided to some of our outstanding applicants. So let me just go through some of the facts and figures about NUS. Now, as we all know, NUS is a research-intensive, comprehensive university. So we actually offer more than 60 bachelor's degree programs with very vibrant student life, with more than 200 clubs and societies and interest groups, and we are well connected around the world. We have more than 300 partner universities over 40 countries, and our graduates are very employable. And if you look at the application form that when you apply to NUS, you realize that there are many things that you can choose. There are altogether 8 choices for you to list down, and you can actually pick a wide range of courses. If you're interested in humanities and sciences, you can pick the humanities and sciences course, and after you get into the humanity and sciences course, you can actually embark on one of the majors that we have in either the arts and social sciences or in science. We also have cross-disciplinary programs like data science and economics, where you merge 2 majors together. If you're interested in design and engineering, you can actually apply for a major in design. If you're interested in engineering, you can also apply for the course engineering, and you can pick all the majors under the engineering majors as well. We also have majors under business school, under School of Computing, and we have professional degree courses like medicine, dentistry, law. We also have courses on music, nursing, and pharmacy. So in short, there is many choices for you to choose your academic pathway. And underpinning all these choices is the 4 key pillars of NUS education. These 4 key pillars, we actually have a common curriculum for you to begin your study with that will build up your foundation. Our common curriculum is not a common curriculum for the entire university. It's more like with respect to the clusters of majors that you have. For example, we have one common curriculum for humanities and sciences. We have one common curriculum for design and engineering. School of Computing has its own common curriculum as well. Now, the common curriculum lays the foundation. The course that you have chosen, that actually will be what I call the major requirements. And then there is still a space of unrestricted electives that's where we allow you to have flexible pathway. Flexible pathway to do a second major, to do a minor, to actually craft out exactly what you're passionate about. At the end of the day, we will also want you to have an interdisciplinary approach in teaching and learning across discipline, and so that to prepare you well for lifelong learning. And what are the kind of things that we can actually enhance your NUS education? What I've just mentioned as the context, as the backdrop, is actually the academic program. That to us is a baseline information or baseline education that we give it to you. A degree program with 40 modules that you're going to take for 4 years. That is a baseline education. But if you look at it from a more holistic point of view, are there ways to enhance this baseline education? One way to enhance this baseline education is to have the opportunity to stay on campus. To stay on campus, you actually have a chance to live, to learn, and to study together with peers from faculties across the campus. You get to network, you make lifelong friends. Like for example, you may stay in one of our halls of residence, and that actually has, what does the halls of residence has? You have a place to stay, you also have rich and vibrant activities. And this has been around for many years. Many of our parents, if they are from they are NUS graduate, they have actually stayed in the halls of residence before. Go back and ask your parents. Shears Hall, Raffles Hall, Yusof Ishak Hall, all these are halls of residence. Then we have what we call residential colleges. Residential colleges, again, you have a place to stay. You have lots of activities, but at the same time, we have small class teaching that will cover the common curriculum of your major that can be used to replace part of the common curriculum of your major, and in particular, the general education requirements under the common curriculum. And that is the second type. And the third type is what we call student residence. Less activities, a place to stay, but nevertheless, there's a vibrant international community there. And you can actually make friends with students from different parts of the world. So that is one aspect of enhancement that you can have from your baseline undergraduate education. On-campus stay. Another possibility of enhancing it is that why don't you make the world your classroom? You can actually spend one semester or 1 year in a partner university under the student exchange programs, rather than using entirely NUS modules to fulfill your degree requirements. You take some modules from a partner university. It could be a module that is mapped directly to your major requirements, or it could be a module that you can actually take under unrestricted electives. This actually enables you to actually have a more global perspective in your learning. And that is something that we strongly encourage our students to do, to actually have a semester, at least a semester, or at least some time of an overseas exposure. And some of the modules that you take in a partner university, actually, we may not offer it in NUS. And that is something that you get to have an additional perspective. That is something that is desirable. And the most important thing is that if you go for the student exchange program, whatever modules that you have taken can be mapped back to NUS to count towards your graduation requirement. In terms of school fees, the fees that you will be paying will not be the partner university school fees. You will still be paying NUS school fees. And that makes the student exchange program more affordable. Some students feel that spending one semester is too long, and you may wish to go for a shorter program like the summer and winter program, shorter duration than the student exchange program, and it could range from 2 to 6 weeks, or you can even do a research attachment at some of the renowned labs in overseas. So these are the other possibility that you can have another level of enhancement, having a global perspective and making the world your classroom. With all this backdrop, let me talk about what kind of scholarships does NUS offer. Now, the flagship scholarships that we have, that typically we have 500 a year for each cohort, is NUS scholarships. Now, under NUS scholarships, we have the NUS Global Merit Scholarship and the NUS Merit Scholarship. At the same time, for students who are uniquely talented in either sports or visual arts, we have the NUS Sports Scholarship or NUS Performing and Visual Arts Scholarships. All these NUS scholarships are open to Singapore citizens who have outstanding academic results, strong leadership qualities and potential, and very good co-curricular activities. So this is the best part about our scholarships are actually they are all bond-free. They have full tuition waiver, there is a living stipend, and they are bond-free. And like the NUS Global Merit Scholarship, it also covers fundings for student exchange for one semester. And so this is something that we have as well for NUS scholarships. But these are not the only scholarships that we have. And here are some of our NUS scholars, and they actually find that the NUS scholarship is actually very useful for them. And what other full-term bond-free scholarships? Full-term means we will give it to you at the point of matriculation, and they are bond-free as well. Now, we benefited from generous donations by our donor. So we have certain donated scholarships for students who are interested in certain direction. Like, for example, the Stephen Ready Young Entrepreneur Scholarship. These are for Singapore citizens who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. We have the Wee Cho Yao Future Readies Award for financial needy Singapore citizens who are well-rounded high achievers. Now, these are similar things like our NUS scholarship, full-term, bond-free. And that you can also apply together with the NUS scholarship. You can find this on the application form together. Now, there is another group of scholarship which we call faculty scholarships. Slightly different terms and conditions, And so these faculty scholarships, and some of them, you can find it from our website, the full list. Some of them are like the eScholars Scholarship. eScholars is actually offered by the College of Design and Engineering for engineering majors. Students under the eScholarships will actually have opportunity, funding, and support for your undergraduate studies, plus a master degree in the College of Design and Engineering. There is the Business Dean Scholarship. There's a School of Computing Scholarship. On our scholarship application portal, all of these are displayed and you can apply for them accordingly. How about for our international students? Are any scholarships available? Now, international students, the scholarship and the grants are again merit-based, and they are awarded to individuals with outstanding academic excellence and leadership and core curricular activities. These scholarships are actually administered by NUS, but they are actually funded by MOE or external organizations. Again, you can go to our website and you can find this. Now, I just want to highlight two of them. One is the ASEAN Undergraduate Scholarship, AUS, and the Science and Technology Undergraduate Scholarship. The ASEAN Undergraduate Scholarships is actually for ASEAN nationality. The Science and Technology Undergraduate Scholarships are for Asian nationality and who are studying science and technology. International students who are interested in the ASEAN and the Science and Technology Scholarship, there's no need for you to submit a separate application. When you apply for admission, we will consider you automatically for this scholarship. And if we find that you are eligible, we'll contact you for additional materials and for an interview as well. And there are also scholarships offered by external organizations. Now, I want to highlight that many of the international students, if they qualify, they will be supported by the Ministry of Education Tuition Grant, the MOE TG. So let me explain to you exactly what is the MOE TG. Now, the MOE Tuition Grant is a substantial tuition fee subsidies from the Singapore government administered by the university. All our Singaporean students, Singapore PR, they will be given the MOE Tuition Grant. And that actually reduced the fees very substantially. However, for international students, this will be offered competitively to students admitted to NUS based on the merit of their application. For international students, when you apply for NUS for admission, there will be a box for you to check whether you want to be considered for the MOE Tuition Grant. There's no separate application required. You just need to check the box when you apply for admission. For Singapore permanent residents and international students who gets the MOE Tuition Grant, they must work in a Singapore registered company for 3 years after graduation. So that is the terms and condition of the MOE Tuition Grant. And Singapore citizens, there are no additional terms and conditions. So this is offered upfront to all Singapore citizens. And so let me just give you a snapshot of the tuition fees when you study in NUS. And so I've just included the tuition fees for some of the main courses like business, computing, more common courses, design and engineering, humanities, and sciences. And you can see that the full tuition fees is ranging from 30,000 all the way to 39,000. Then, of course, if the fees are even for professional courses like medicine, dentistry, and law, the fees are much higher. And you can find the details of the fees from the website. However, Singapore citizens, because they are automatically given the tuition grants, so therefore the fees will actually go down to 8,000 something to 9,000 something dollars. So the reduction is quite significant. However, for Singapore permanent residents with tuition grant, then you'll notice that the fees has also been reduced by less than 1/3. So this is about 11,000 to 13,000. For international students, there is again a reduction. In some cases, it's about half of those, roughly about half of those full tuition fees. And now let me move on to the next part of the presentation, and that is about financial support. So what kind of financial support that you can expect in NUS? NUS, unlike some other universities overseas, our admission policy is actually merit-based and needs-blind. So we do not need you to demonstrate that you have the financial ability to pay before we give you an admission offer. When we judge you for admission, financial difficulty will not get into the play. And why we can do this is because we actually have a wide range of schemes available for students who are in need to get the necessary support to go through the education. So what kind of financial support do we have? We have bursaries. Now, for Singapore citizens, there are government bursaries like HECB and HEB, which I will explain a little bit more later. And we also have NUS bursaries. So these are bursaries that will actually help to offset your tuition fee and living expenses. Now, I did mention just now that one enhancement of a student's education is that to get to have an on-campus stay. And that is where we also have bursaries and grants for the student. The hall bursary, the residential program bursary, the college, residential college bursary. All these are bursaries to offset on-campus stay. Another enhancement of one's education is the opportunity to study abroad, may it be student exchange program, may it be a summer-winter program. So we also have bursaries for that, for NUS awards for study abroad. And at the same time, we have introduced a new scheme called the Opportunity Enhancement Grant, which I will explain a little bit more about how later on, how these can enhance the 3 types of bursaries I've mentioned. Sometimes the bursaries are not enough to cover your cost. There are tuition fee loans that are available, and tuition fee loans will cover a significant part of the fees. And if it's still not enough, we still have NUS student loan. For Singaporeans, you will still have your CPF education loan, PSEA loan, a PSEA account that you can deduct the tuition fees from. And also there is Mendaki tertiary tuition fee subsidies for Malay students, Singaporean students. And we also have NUS student assistant loan and work study assistant. Now, this seems to be a lot of information to digest, and I'm going to walk you through carefully. And you can also estimate expenses with our financial needs calculator that is available online. Roughly speaking, what is the annual cost of living in Singapore? We estimate it to be about 6,000 Singapore dollars. And some students reflect to us that they could actually manage between $5,000 or so. It all depends on individuals' lifestyle. Accommodation, we estimate it to be around 4,400 Singapore dollars per year. And in order to better understand all the different financial aid scheme, there are two keywords that we need to understand: GHI and PCI. What is GHI? GHI stands for gross household income. So basically, let me just give you an example to explain what is GHI. Suppose that you live in a household or family of 4 within that household: the father, the mother, your sibling, and yourself. So the total income, gross income of that family, that is GHI, monthly gross household income. Then there is the other term that you always see on our financial aid website, that is the per capita income, PCI. So PCI is actually the GHI, the gross household income, divide by the total number of household members. So that is the PCI. So for example, I have a household of 4 persons, and the total gross household income is $8,000. So the PCI is 8,000 divided by 4, and therefore the PCI is 2,000. And our financial aid scheme, many of them, if your GHI is less than or equals to $9,000, which if you compare, let's say this GHI is actually a household of 4 persons, then the PCI is $2,250. Then that is the PCI less than or equals to that, then you'll be eligible for financial aid. So let me go into more details. So here are some examples of bursaries covering tuition fees and living expenses. So the first two, the Higher Education Community Bursary and the Higher Education Bursary, both of them are actually government bursary. That means for Singapore citizens, regardless of which autonomous university you go to, you will be entitled for that. And so how it works is that if the student's monthly PCI is $1,000 and the GHI is up to $4,000, or a GHI is up to $4,000, then you may receive the Higher Education Community Bursary with quantum up to $6,200 per year for Singapore citizens. And this amount actually, if you look at the tuition fees that I've described just now, which is about $8,000 to $9,000 for Singapore citizens, this covers a significant part of the tuition fees. So maybe there's a shortfall of about $2,000 odd if you get the Higher Education Community Bursary. On the other hand, if your monthly PCI is up to $2,250 or GHI up to $9,000, then you may get a Higher Education Bursary with quantum up to $3,200. Now, of course, the $3,200 is much further away from the school tuition fees of $8,000 to $9,000, because this group here, the monthly PCI, the income is actually higher. But nevertheless, it is students will realize that even with their $6,200 of Higher Education Community Grant, there is still a shortfall from the tuition fee of $8,000 to $9,000. And this has not factored in the living expenses as well. So as a result, due to the generous donations of the donors of NUS, we managed to come out with NUS donated or NUS faculty bursary. These are bursary in order to top up what the government bursary has. And the amount actually moves from at least $1,500 per annum, and it may be higher depending on the assessed financial need and nationality of the applicant. So that is one type. So if you go to the website and go and try our financial aid calculator, then you will have a sense about how much you get. So you can actually key in the academic year, you can key in the course that you're applying to, and the financial aid calculator will immediately tell you what is the fees after you accept the MOE Tuition Grant, and we estimate the living expenses as $6,000 for default. So the total cost of attending the education is $14,465. And if you key in the household income, the gross household income, how many household member, then you can compute the PCI. So in this example here, the PCI is $250. Then based on the PCI of $250, then we can actually work out the bursary that we actually provide. And the calculator will show that the bursary that the students will get would be like the higher education bursary would be $6,200. The NUS bursary will give you another $6,050. And there's this opportunity enhancement grant, which I will explain later as well. And the total financial aid that you will get is $14,750. And therefore, the out-of-pocket expenditure is actually negative. So this actually covers fully your needs for the education. So you can see that we actually provide sufficient aid for you to take care of the living expenses plus the school fees. And what other bursaries do we have? Sometimes the students wanted to stay on campus. As I've already mentioned, the context here is that living on campus actually gives you an opportunity to interact with friends, with schoolmates from different parts of the university. And that is something that many students desire to have. So you can actually apply for the residential program bursary. If you stay in the traditional halls, you can apply for these, and the bursary quantum range from $500 to $4,020 per annum, depending on the assessed financial need, or you can stay in the residential college. You may get a bursary up to $5,000. Now, the amount for staying in the hall and the residential colleges are different. Residential colleges cost a little bit more, and that's why the bursary amount is also higher. But nevertheless, there may still be a shortfall from the residential for the on-campus stay, that you still need to fork out some additional money to stay there. And how about overseas exposure program? Now, students would like to go overseas to experience how is it like to study in a different country, to actually learn from a different learning environment. And for students who want to spend one semester under the student exchange program, you can apply to the Global Relations Office for what we call the NASA bursary, NUS Award for Study Abroad Exchange Bursary. And you may get a quantum between $2,500 to $5,000, depending on the assessed needs, and for the Singapore citizens going for this student exchange program. Some students may actually go for overseas summer, winter, or research attachment program, which are shorter. And again, there is another enhancement bursary, $400 to $3,000. And it all depends on the duration of the program and the assessed financial needs. Now, this actually offset quite a bit of the cost for this. But again, there may be a shortfall. There may be a shortfall that needs to be addressed, and I'll elaborate further later on. And there are other financial aid schemes available as well. Do visit our financial aid website, and you can see that some of these are loans. You can apply for tuition fee loans, and this is eligible for all undergraduate students. And then you can also, for some of the Singapore citizens, you can also be eligible for the NUS study loan, and the Singapore permanent resident international student, that they are also eligible for the NUS study loans. So loans are available. CPF education loan is another possibility. And post-secondary education account, PSEA, and this is, again, you can use it to offset some of your tuition fees and miscellaneous fees. And for Malay undergraduate Singaporean students, there is the Mendaki tertiary tuition fee subsidies. And with all this, just now I alluded that for students who wanted to have the baseline education with certain enhancement of on-campus stay or overseas exposure, you may find that actually whatever aid that we already have for you in terms of bursaries for tuition fees and living expenses, bursary for on-campus stay, bursaries for overseas exposure program. Sometimes there is still a shortfall. So this year, in February, a few weeks ago, we announced our enhanced financial aid scheme for Singaporean undergraduate students from lower income family. And the concept is very simple. For students with PCI, not more than $1,000, we will have tuition fees fully covered. So in other words, students will not need to pay tuition fees anymore for those with Singaporeans with PCI not more than $1,000. And then for Singaporean students with PCI not more than $690, not only we cover the fees, we also provide support for your living expenses plus top-up scheme for on-campus stays and overseas exposure. Because we already have bursaries for on-campus stay and overseas exposure, but there may be a shortfall. And some students who are in this income category may not take up this opportunity. We sincerely and we want our students to have 1 year of on-campus stay or some overseas exposure program. And so we decided to have a top-up of these, and let me be more specific about the details. So the details is the following. For students with PCI up to $1,000, NUS Bursary will simply top up the government bursary to provide full coverage of tuition fees. Like in the example that I showed just now, let's say the student's actual fees is $8,250, and then the government bursary is $6,200. So there's a shortfall of $2,000 odd. That one, NUS Bursary will top it out. Natural question one will ask, how about a course that is more expensive, like medicine, dentistry, law, or business? Then the government bursary and the shortfall from the government bursary plus the tuition fee is actually more. Then NUS Bursary will top up more for you as well. So in short, students with up to PCI of $1,000, you don't have to pay any fees. NUS Bursary will take care of that. And on top of it, for students with PCI not more than $690, NUS Bursary, of course, will cover up the full the tuition fees completely. At the same time, we will provide you with $4,000 per year for living expenses. And this will take care of the baseline education of tuition fees and living expenses. But we do understand that it is good that you have a chance to actually experience one semester of student exchange or living 1 year on campus. So we have the new opportunity enhancement grant. We want to give you this opportunity. And what happens is that we'll give you a grant of $10,000 over 4 years. And $10,000 over 4 years, and what you get would be you can actually use to top up whatever financial aid that we've given to you for on-campus stay and overseas programs. So, for example, you can use in the first year to top up your on-campus stay, that $10,000, you still have a balance. Then after that, you use to top up a bit more for your overseas programs. So that is possible. And let me just summarize about an overview about financial aid application. We want to make it happen for you. We want to make it easy for you. So what we have here is that we are going to have one financial aid application. Just go to our portal. We make it easy for you. You apply for financial aid at the financial aid portal from mid-January until the end of academic year. We essentially make it available for you to apply throughout the whole year. But of course, for incoming students, we're going to matriculate this year. You are advised to apply during this period so that you know exactly how much financial aid we can give it to you. And then after the process, you may be given up to 7 types of loans, bursaries, and grants by NUS. The supporting documents is simple. We're not asking for complicated supporting documents. And essentially, we need your identifications and income documents. And if you need to apply for financial aid, like let's say external agencies, you can do so. And for tuition fees, loan, and CPF loan, and Mataki and all these, you can do this also. You can still apply through our Office of Financial Aid. At the end of the day, our goal here is that our schemes is meant to support our student up to 100% of the study expenses. And so let me just summarize. We talk about two things. One is scholarship, the other is financial aid. So how do I apply for scholarship and financial aid? Now, of course, you have to apply for admission first. So there is a admission portal for you to apply for admission. Then there is a portal for scholarship. You can use that to apply for scholarship. And there's another portal for financial aid. So to apply for scholarship, please apply online at the NUS Undergraduate Scholarship Application Portal. And you please apply between 1st of February to 19th of March. And you upload the necessary supporting documents, and you will need to submit your referee report as well, and the referee will submit the recommendation letter through the referee portal. Then the NUS Financial Aid, there is a NUS Undergraduate Financial Aid Application Portal. Please apply between mid-January to 1st of March, and you can submit the supporting documents through this application portal. One thing to take note, there may be many of you here which are male Singaporeans who are going to serve NS. They are not going to matriculate in 2021. For male Singaporeans who are not coming in this year yet, you can still apply for admission, that's for sure, because we will reserve the place for you. You can also apply for NUS scholarship. So that one, you can do it this year. If you get the scholarship, we will reserve the scholarship for you for 2 years and until you finish your national service. So no issue about that. As for NUS financial aid, please apply on the year that you're going to matriculate into the university. Because what happens is that in order to determine the quantum for the government bursary, you have to get the latest PCI status. And that's why you only apply on the year that you are going to matriculate. And of course, I mean, you may want to have a sense about what is the financial aid that you may get. Visit our financial aid calculator and you can actually get a sense. So here are some important dates and important timeline for you to take note. And please apply like what I've already mentioned. On 19th of March, the application will close for admission and scholarship. And late March onwards, there will be scholarship interviews. And April onwards, we'll release the admission outcome and then subsequently the scholarship outcome as well. And let me just have one last graphics here to explain to you about how we can go along with you with your NUS journey that enables you to shape your future. How do we finance your future? Now, essentially, at this stage, what you see here is that I've already mentioned about some of the key things about applying for NUS financial aid, and then the release and acceptance of NUS financial aid. And then from July and September, if you need to apply for external scheme to complement the aid, please do so. And from August onwards, you will get the fundings from financial aid through GIRO. And then let's say in your first year, you will read modules on campus, you want to live on campus. So when you are applying for the financial aid, you can also apply for the aid for your residential college bursary or residential program bursary. And at that time, let's say you are eligible for the Opportunity Enhancement Grant. You registered the use of it that I want to use this to offset the balance of the hostel fees. You can do that. That's first year. After that, on second year, let's say you continue to read modules on campus and during the vacation, you want to experience how is it like in working life that's related to the discipline. You can do an internship on your own. And in the third year, you decided that you want to go for 1 semester of student exchange program. Then you can apply for the NASA exchange bursary. At the same time, you can again use your Opportunity Enhancement Grant for your overseas program to offset the balance that is the cost that we estimated minus away the NASA exchange bursary. And then semester 1, you go for exchange. Semester 2, you can read modules on campus. And then after that, you can do an internship during the special term. Internship can also be counted towards your graduation requirement. Then in the fourth year, you do your final year project, you read modules on campus, and then you graduate. So this is what we envisage, how we can support you as you shape your future with our NUS journey. If you need more information, please visit our website, and then and we really hope that we can be partners of you in your NUS journey in terms of providing support for your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Goh, for your sharing. We'll now move on to the Q&A segment. And joining Prof. Goh is Ms. Autumn Ong, the Associate Director, the Office of Admissions, in charge of NUS Financial Aid Schemes, and Ms. Tan Pek Lien, the Associate Director in the Office of Admissions, in charge of NUS Scholarships. We've also specially invited two NUS students, Lina and Teddy, to share their experiences. Lina is a final year student majoring in food science and technology in the College of Humanities and Sciences in the Faculty of Science. She is a recipient of the NUS Global Merit Scholarship. Lina previously resided in KE 5 Hall and was actively involved as a block committee member, planning various events and activities for her fellow hallmates. As a food science enthusiast, Lina actively seeks out internships and research opportunities to broaden her knowledge and passion in the field. She has garnered industrial experiences at numerous companies such as Compass Foods, Mosin Mas, and KH Roberts, helping as a research and development intern in the areas of flavor, spray drying, creation, and extraction. She is currently embarking on a final year project dabbling with the research of increasing fiber content in foods with alternative ingredients. Teddy is a second year student majoring in accountancy from the NUS Business School. He is a recipient of the NUS Merit Scholarship. Teddy is the head of his residential block at Cambridge Hall, where he leads, plans, and executes huge-scale events such as the Freshman Orientation Program, Welcome Hall camps, as well as the NUS Scholars Retreat for fellow scholars. He plays regularly for the NUS Recreational Volleyball Club and is also an active student ambassador. On top of juggling schoolwork and extracurricular activities, Teddy also believes in getting a career head start by sourcing for internships during his term break. He's a licensed financial advisor working with the Advisors Alliance Group, an authorized representative of AIA. I'll hand the time over to Prof. Goh, who will be moderating the Q&A segment. You may feel free to use the upload function to indicate your preferred queries. Prof. Goh, please.
Thank you, Eunice. And I'm glad to see that there are already a lot of questions being asked, and we are answering the questions also during the type chat. So let me just begin first by letting our two students, Lina and Teddy, to introduce themselves. So let's get Lina and Teddy to say a few words about your NUS journey and how the scholarship actually enables you and facilitate you during your course of study. Yeah. So let's begin with Lina, then followed by Teddy.
So my journey in NUS has been very fun and fulfilling so far. I've definitely learned and experienced a lot, especially in my hall, like in my hall stay and then in my course as well. So for example, in hall, I was a member of the block committee, and I actually learned how to organize events for the residents in my block. I also had the opportunity to interact with students of different background and culture. So I believe this scholarship has provided me with a lot of opportunities in enriching my learning and also in developing my character, knowledge, and skills. And I think this has really allowed me to be a more well-rounded person. And then ultimately, it would allow me to help those around me and then contribute back to society.
Thank you, Lina. And Teddy, let's hear from you.
Okay, hi everyone. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Teddy, recipient of the NUS Merit Scholarship, and I'm currently a resident in Cambridge Hall. Yeah, so basically what I've been doing for the past 2 years is just studying, but also taking part in multiple activities within my hall and also within NUS itself. And also using the opportunities that this scholarship had provided me to network with other similar-minded students, other scholars, and just learning from all these kind of people and become a better person myself. So it's nice to see you guys.
Thank you. I think Lina and Teddy both have a goal in common. They want to contribute to society, to be a better person. I think that is some of the attributes that we look out for among our NUS scholars. Now, I looked at some of the earlier submitted questions, and there were some questions that some students were very concerned about that if you apply for scholarship, the interview process, how was it like as an interview process? Is it very daunting, the interview, or is it, okay, I guess my role is actually as an interviewer, but I think let's hear from Lena and Teddy about their perspective about encountering interview, and how was the interview experience like, Lena, when you applied for scholarship 4 years ago?
So for me, the interview process was definitely interesting, but also slightly scary experience. So that's normal. And I remember being like quite nervous before the interview, as I didn't have much interview experience before that. Yeah, but I told myself to just calm down and do my best. And so the interviewers actually asked a mixture of like academic and non-academic questions. And like there were definitely questions which I wasn't very sure of how to answer, but like I just tried my best to answer them. Yeah, and I think one of my biggest takeaways from the interview is that it's important to be confident of yourself and like don't be afraid to share about your merits and passion.
And Teddy, how's your interview experience?
Actually for me, the one thing I realized was that different faculties also have different interview processes. So for business school, it's actually a bit more different. We don't do like a one-on-one kind of interview, but rather they put us in a group situation and ask us to solve a problem, business-related problem together. So having a student from JC or Poly just jump right in and have to talk about things that we don't really know, that we are expected to learn in university, and we already have to do it then. So it was quite a shocking kind of experience. But yeah, so before that, I had to do a lot of research, prior research on my own, Google, ask around and all that kind of stuff to prepare myself. And ultimately, doing the thing itself, I realized that what's most important is to, exactly like what Lena said, is be more confident, be more outspoken, and also be more open to new ideas, be open to meeting new people, and be open to working with these people as well. Yeah, and I realized that when the interviewers see that you have all these good interpersonal skills, these good qualities, then it helps you stand out as a potential candidate for being a NUS scholar. Yeah, and hopefully that will be helpful to you guys.
Yeah, exactly. As an interviewer of scholarship, actually what we look out for students is actually the actual passion, the aptitude, and the qualities of the student that we feel that will actually exemplify what we hope to see among our scholars. It's not so much about checking boxes. There are some students who actually thought that, oh, this is the COVID situation. My CCA is not as colorful because there are less COVID situation. I think it's even though that even under the COVID situation, there are still things that we can do. And what we want is actually a more genuine understanding of how you aspire and what are the things and your track record. So these are things that we want to take note. And I think there are some other questions about financial aid as well. I think there's one question about financial aid is that that does it mean that I need to apply for financial aid every year, or when I apply, I get accepted for financial aid scheme? Do I need to apply every year, or this scheme is going to last until the end of our bachelor's degree? Now, let me get my two colleagues who have not spoken yet, Autumn and Piet Lin, to comment on this. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Autumn here. Yeah, with regard to the question about whether you need to apply for financial aid every year. Okay, for loans, right? Let's say if in year one, you are offered a bursary and a loan, and you wish to be considered for the bursary again, then you have to reapply for financial aid again in year two. And the same goes for year 3 and year 4. But because for the loans, right, it is once you apply for it and you decide to take, you're offered and you decide to take it up, it is for the whole course duration. So no reapplication is required. So just remember that if you wish to be considered for bursary again, then you have to reapply for financial aid.
I see.
Thank you.
And Pele, you have anything to add? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the validity of the new Opportunity Enhancement Grant. And since this is new, Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Piet Lin. For the Opportunity Enhancement Grant, once it is awarded, you'll be awarded for the whole, for your whole course. But if in the event you're not awarded the first year because you do not meet the requirement, you can apply again the second year. And if that year you are eligible for the grant, then you'll be given from, let's say, year 2 onwards kind of thing, but you'll still be given the full $10,000 for you to use. Yes.
Yeah. So in short, basically, all the financial aid, many of these we have to apply every year, like what Autumn has mentioned. But the Opportunity Enhancement Grant, because it's valid for 4 years, so that's why you don't have to reply again. Now, there was an earlier interesting question. They were asking about the Enhanced Financial Aid Scheme that we have rolled out, they have explained. Does the student need to pay back the money after graduation? Now, this one, actually, this is something that is a support that we want to give to all our students from lower income families. This is not a loan. This is actually a grant that we give it to the student. So the answer is no. And of course, if one day that if the student decided to pay forward and donate back to the university, and so that we can help more needy students in the future, that would be, of course, appreciative. But there's no need, there's no requirement for the student to pay back. Yeah. And so there's another question here, that maybe I will take that question. That is to say that there's a question that's saying that for courses with higher IGP, is it harder to get the scholarship compared with a course with lower IGP? The IGP is Indicative Grade Profile. Now, actually, all our NUS scholarship is valid for the entire university. So to be an NUS scholar, we are looking actually beyond the IGP already. So you may say that they may be more competitive, but nevertheless, it is essentially based on the attributes of the student. And that's our 2 students here. Have any thoughts about this question, about harder to get, or you can hear from your friends, No? I think this is rather challenging to answer these questions, and so I understand this. And then the other questions that I saw also in the chat is that what kind of criteria that we look out for scholarship and financial aid? I think the criteria I've already mentioned for scholarship and financial aid is definitely based on PCI and GHI. So it's actually based on the financial needs of the student. Yeah, Autumn and Pietlen, you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Okay, maybe I'll start off with financial aid first.
Mm-hmm.
Then Pietlen can take the one for scholarships. For financial aid itself, if I'll go by nationality, I think it will be clearer for the students. So if for Singaporean and SPR, right, if your per capita income is $2,700 and below, you can apply for financial aid, okay, and be considered for loans. Okay, for Singaporeans, if your per capita income is $2,250 or your gross household income is $9,000 and below, you can be considered for a bursary. Okay, so for Singapore PR for bursaries, right, your PCI must not exceed $1,000. So that's the criteria. As for international students, if your per capita income is below $1,200, you can be considered for a loan. And for a bursary, your per capita income must be below $1,000. I mean, $1,000 and below. Yeah, that's generally the criteria.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. As for scholarship, you're looking for well-rounded high achievers. So definitely we will look at your academic performance, look at things like how active you are in your CCAs, your leadership skills, and also if you are selected for a scholarship, how you perform during the, if you are selected for an interview, how you perform during the interview. So all this takes into, we look at all these things when we consider students for scholarship. So it's not just one factor kind of thing. So we look at students because we want students who are well-rounded.
Thank you. Yeah. So you can see that we basically cover here about support, may it be in terms of scholarship or maybe in terms of financial aid for tuition fees, living expenses, and also the kind of enhancement that we can have on-campus stay and overseas exposure. Now, there's another angle that I think is a valuable enhancement for one's undergraduate education, that is internship. Now, I would just like to end this session by inviting both Lena and Teddy to talk about how they apply the knowledge they have learned in their respective course of study in formal internship or part-time internship. So maybe let's start off with Lena, because I think you have done a lot in terms of food science.
So for me, actually, in school, we mainly learn like all the theories, but we don't really see how it's applied in the industry. So like joining all these internship really gives you the opportunity to see like how all the knowledge and theories you've learned in school can be applied like in real life. And then you see like how all the end products can be like how the end products actually like develop, and how the consumers like yeah, like there's a lot of like how the consumers like enjoy these end products. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Teddy, you had experience also applying your accountancy knowledge, right?
Yeah, so for myself, as an accounting student, I'm also taking a second specialization in finance. So I feel that for business students, similarly to Lina, we also learn a lot of theory. Yeah, so during these current internships, or for myself right now, working part-time as a financial consultant, is when we actually use this theory or the formulas in order to apply to real life problems. So for example, for myself, even though I may not be interning now, but as my part-time job, I am also helping my clients plan out their finances, calculating the time value of the money for investments, savings, all sorts of stuff. So this is where I learned how to use all the theory which I've learned in school to apply to somebody else's real life problems and give them a solution using this kind of theory. And I feel that that's really, really useful. And definitely in the future for other internships as well with banks, accounting firms and whatnot, it will be much more applicable there as well.
So in other words, as you can see here, a university education is actually a consolidation of experiences. May it be academic, may it be, working, or, living on campus, or going for exposure. So I think with this, I hope that we have given you a snapshot about how we can help you, how we can support you in your journey in university education. And we look forward to shaping your future together with us in NUS. I'll pass the time back to Eunice now. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Goh, Ms. Ong, Ms. Tan, Lina, and Teddy for sharing your experience, insights, and sound advice. So I hope that managed to answer your questions and clarify your doubts. And with that, we've come to the end of this session. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope that this webinar has been helpful. Now, if you have other questions, please send them through our Ask Admissions website. We also greatly appreciate if you could take a few minutes to fill out a feedback form. You may scan the QR code or access the link that we will be sharing on the chat board shortly. Your feedback is very important to us, so please let us know how we can improve. We understand that most of you have signed up for an array of open house events lined up for the rest of the week, and we hope that you will have a fruitful time. Thank you once again. My colleagues and I look forward to receiving your application and warmly welcoming you to NUS. Have a great evening ahead.